Well, afternoon, everybody in the VHR. This is the first attempt that I'm going to be putting together for the weekly log review. It's going to be kind of like a combination of log review and also the raid's overall success. Now, we raided 4 days straight from Sunday into Wednesday, as a lot of you got to participate, and I appreciate your time on that. We were able to be pretty successful. We got Manaroth down after some attempts. We got some time on Archimon, which was great. We did about an hour, got about 7 pulls total. Got down to about 66%, I believe, was the low, so not too bad for our first night with minimum review time and whatnot of what we did as far as strategy. We came back on Tuesday and took down 8 bosses, which was a new high for us with only 1 wipe. That was on Ishkar, just due to really passing mechanics and then executing properly on the ads as they came out, which was addressed in raid, and we'll go over again in here. And then last night in Wednesday's raid, we one-shotted Zul'Horak, was the first. We one-shotted Sokrathar, which I think we've done before, but we still did it back to back. And then we one-shotted TV also, and then we put in some attempts on Manaroth, and we were able to identify by looking at the current rating logs that were available where the mistakes were that ended up costing us there. One of them was identified was naturally how to respond to the mechanic that the tank was dealing with, and then another one we'll go over in just a little bit. Now, one thing that I want to make clear about this video is that it's not to hurt anyone's feelings. This is just to put us in a position to improve in our overall role, to give us goals to strive for and ways to be able to analyze that data by looking at the logs. Now, if you look up here, this is Tyrant Valhari, and it's our kill. Now, the one thing that I wanted to show about this to start with was enemies and as far as selected damage. So if you click on this part right here, it allows you to be able to pick on any of them as they come through. So for example, this is our kill that was on Sunday. Data loads up and it shows the total amount of damage that the individual did into the target. What we want to make sure is that this percentage is closer together. If everybody is attacking the target at the right time, like they're supposed to, based on when the call out and the outline that's available from the Dropbox link that's on the website now. If everybody's doing it at the time that it's not only called out, but also the way that outline states it, then these numbers will come closer together. Clearly, there's a disparity here as far as total damage that went into the target versus what was going into the boss, for example. And you can see it consistently. There's always been like 1 player or 2 players, for example, that just didn't get to the target as quickly as we needed them to. And there should be a lot more balance here based on the total damage threshold that's available. Okay. So what we want to do is try to get our overall activity up to the highest level that we can and try to maximize our total damage output. And that's something that I would like the DPS to make sure that they're looking at on a consistent basis, not just in this video. Next thing that I want to point out is called rankings. Now, rankings have got twofold, right? You got your left side here, and then you got your right side. This is the bracket percentage that's associated to your item level, where your DPS is, and where your ranking is in total, okay? Now over here, this is the number that you want to look for. The minimum that we want to get these numbers up to is into the 30, 40, 50 range and higher, okay? Now, naturally, you're going to have better percentages once you have your 4/4 set. We know that. Once you have your ring, we know that. Once you have your rune, we know that. These are all things, though, that can be predicated. 125 food, potioning properly, making sure that you get synergy of when you're activating your trinkets to when you're using your cooldowns. All these little steps and nuances will help with your performance as you go forward, okay? So make sure that you're checking this out and you're pushing onto that on a consistent basis. If you're, for example, struggling where your percentage for what your item level is to your overall threshold of damage, okay? What you want to make sure that you're looking for when you start seeing this gray is that you click on it and start analyzing what other players are doing and find ways to figure it out that you can get your casts to where they need to be or your cooldowns where they need to be, using your buffs when you need to be, using your potions when you need to, so that way you can improve your overall output on these bosses as we go forward. Any effort that you can put in this, please do so. If you don't know what to look for, then you need to come to me as soon as possible or to Murphy and get this addressed so that way we can start seeing a consistent improvement. If not, then we're going to have to find other personnel to sit there and help with this, because performance, it's everything that this game is all about. I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings. I'm just trying to be real about how we need to approach this. If we don't put in the time to improve on a consistent basis, basically the entire team suffers, and so does our performance, as I'll show you in an upcoming slide here in just a second, okay? Now we're looking at the kill for Manaroth. Manaroth has a lot of ads throughout it, and what you can do is you can see here, this is the overall damage that individuals were putting into it. So for example, we have two performers right here that are below the tanks. We need to make sure that that's one of the things right off the bat that we're addressing. We need to make sure that we're putting damage into it that is better than the tanks. The tanks are basically lowest DPS on a consistent basis, and that's where they should be, because we should be focusing on a defensive build that works into an offensive build as we get to our farming, which means honestly our overall damage is only going to go up a few thousand. So this is big time here. Okay, we need to make sure that we're addressing this, and that if you look at the logs and your performance is below them, we need to come to me as soon as possible, so that way we can figure out how we can fix it promptly. All right, another item I want you to look at on this fight here, this has all the infernals and all the fel imps, right? So for example, this is exactly what we want to see. All the fel imps getting crushed by the melee, range helping out as they can see to do it, tanks helping out as they see to do it. This is infernals, all range on the target, okay? And then minimal melee. That's what we want to see on a consistent basis in scale, okay? Also, I want to come over here to rankings. And again, half the team right now it's not more than half the team right here. So we got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 11 here. We have 3 that were ranked in their brackets for performance, and then we have the rest that aren't. Okay, so we really need to focus on this and do what we can to improve our performance in that area as quickly as possible. Okay. Another element that I want to point out to in this video for everyone, especially those that are in DPS, you need to be using 2 pots. If I don't see 2 pot use on a consistent basis, I'm going to go ahead and put you on standby. This isn't a threat, this is a reality. Everyone needs to be using pots as consistently as possible. Now, does that mean that, if you miss one, I'm going to come and bring the hammer? No, of course not. We all know my leadership and the way that I'm approaching it by doing videos like this and offering my help on a consistent basis. But what it does state is that I need to draw a line at some point. And what I'm consistently seeing is I'm not seeing pre-pot use, and I'm not seeing post-pot use on a consistent basis on kills, especially one-shots. Like if we look at the logs, for example, on Tuesday, there are multiple bosses where we didn't use a pot on pull, didn't use a secondary pot at some point during the fight, and didn't use hero when we needed to based on the outlines, okay? So that's telling me a few things, right? It's telling me that, 1, outlines aren't being reviewed. Just to be clear, me and Alex spent almost 12, 14 plus hours between writing up all of those outlines and then also editing them and making them available on Dropbox. So if you haven't reviewed them, please take the time to do so. It'll improve your performance greatly, I assure you, because you're going to be where you're supposed to, and you're going to be doing what you're supposed to. Another element I want to point out too, if you want to contribute to the team as a whole, please start doing write-ups on the website. Go under where the classes are, for example, and look at what Murphy's doing today. He's creating basically DPS outlines for all of the different groups, so that way you can sit there and find information on the rotation that you're supposed to be doing, your attack strategy, and other things like that. If we can build more communication at the website, it'll be a greater tool for us to develop as a group to be able to improve when it comes to content on a consistent basis. All right, so again, let's reiterate on this. Make sure we're potting on a consistent basis. If not, you're in trouble. Make sure that you're reviewing the outline on a consistent basis, so that way you know what you're doing and you're not dying and causing the rest of the team to have performance issues. Okay. Next element I want to take a look at real quick with you is overall, here again, rankings and whatnot. We need to make sure that we're doing all that we can on each one of these bosses. See, like here's a great example. Look at all that green and purple. This is the one I wanted to show you. Look at all this green. We got some purple. We got some orange for performance. You see? So overall, what that means is you're very comfortable with this fight, and you're understanding what you're supposed to do. So if we only have 2, for example, that are in the gray, that's outstanding, and that's what we really want to shoot for on a consistent basis, okay? If you have any questions about the video, please just ask me in-game or ask Murphy. He's going to be focusing as our DPS raid leader. We're going to be expanding our leadership too in the next couple of days once we make communication with a few people and see what we can do to improve the overall leadership structure, so that way we can put ourselves in a position to be successful. We're also still looking for a full-time warlock. We're looking for another full-time caster, mage, or elemental shaman. Both those hopefully can be addressed soon, and honestly, more than one, but they need to be able to make 3 to 4 days on a consistent basis. Okay. Other elements that you see that we'll be looking for is that we're good on melee, especially paladins. We do not require paladins. We do not require warriors. We do not require rogues. We do not require hunters. We are good in all those classes there. We need to reinforce in the other areas. So, for example, we could use a monk melee. We have that. That could be something we're looking for. I know we have a Mistweaver that should be joining us on Tuesday. That's 703. So it's going to reinforce our healing group there. Their performances are in the 40 percentile, which is really good. I think once they start to get to our reps, they'll understand how we're approaching it, and that'll really help out. We're also reevaluating how to go about doing our interviews, and they're going to be more constructive. Once I have that all done, I'm going to put the document on the Dropbox link, and I'm also going to move that into the Facebook groupings of downloaded files so that you can take a look at it and see what you think, and of course give your opinion so that way we can improve on it on a consistent basis. Continue to strive towards 50-60% on a consistent basis. If you have any questions, please ask. Do not take any of this personal. This is about a team execution, and if we don't all work together towards it, it's going to put us in a position where we're just going to end up coming up short. That's going to lead to frustration, people not wanting to play. All these elements that are already making it difficult for us to be able to get recruitment, we don't need to compound them, and I'm sure you can all agree with that, okay? Have a blessed day. Thank you for taking the time to watch the video. If you enjoy it and you're a new viewer, please click subscribe. Also, please click like, and if you have any comments below, please add them. Thank you. Have a blessed day.